Alright guys, who's ready for a really cool roller coaster countdown? Today I'll be counting down my top 14 roller coasters at Carowinds, which is located in the border between Fort Mill, South Carolina and Charlotte, North Carolina. One of my personal favorite parks. And I visited this park way back in 2016, and this year I got the opportunity to revisit the park, so naturally a lot of the roller coasters in this park have changed, my purses for the roller coasters have changed here. So you can go way back and try to find my old Carowinds list, but just to let you know, this list would be way different compared to that last list, and that last list is probably one of my cringy videos, you could say. I don't know, my old videos, my old countdowns and stuff, they're so cringy. But yeah, let's get started with this countdown. So there's 14 roller coasters here, and Carowinds definitely has a great variety of roller coasters. But which ones are my favorite? That is why we are going to talk about my top 14 at Carowinds. So to get things started here, coming at number 14 is the Wilderness Run. This is just your standard kiddie coaster, so naturally I'm going to put this one in last place. Coming at number 13 is Ricochet, which is just your standard wall mouse, so you can only rank it so high. I did enjoy this one more than when I rode it in 2016, so I'll give it that, but in general, it's just another wall mouse. Coming at number 12 is the Kiddy Hawk, and I gotta be honest with you, I did not enjoy this ride at all. This coaster was just so painful and brutal. I was just like, this coaster left me with a headache. I did not enjoy this at all. I was hoping for it to be like Swamp Thing at Wall Adventures, which is the same layout, same type of ride, which I surprisingly enjoyed that. But this coaster, the roughness was just way too much. I tried to lean my head forward, I still got so much head bashing. Poor kids who have to ride this. Feel bad for the kids. But yeah, I just don't like Kiddy Hawk, and honestly, it's just, I don't know, screw this ride. So coming in at number 11 is the Carolina Goldrusher, which is a mine train, and to be honest, I was so disappointed when I rode this coaster. I thought it was just not good when I rode it in 2016, like I didn't hate it, and I still don't hate this coaster, but this coaster just felt so much rougher and bumpier. I don't know what happened with this coaster. And so the layout's just kind of boring. I don't know, it's just not that good of a mine train in my opinion. Now, I'm glad Carowinds still has this coaster operating because it is a classic. I mean, I would rather have Thunder Road operating than this, but I mean, I understand this is a classic, and I'm glad Carowinds still has this. I think this was the first coaster built at Carowinds, so I'm glad this coaster is still operating. And a lot of the public seem to like it, but I just didn't like this coaster. I'm sorry. I just wasn't a fan of Carolina Goldrusher. I think it's one of the weaker mine trains, in my opinion. So coming in at number 10, we are getting to the ones that I do like. Coming in at number 10 is the Woodstock Express, which can be a big surprise to some people. I was kind of surprised when I rode this coaster this time. Like I thought it was like in 2016, but I still think it's kind of now because it's just kind of like a kiddie wooden coaster. But I surprisingly found this one to be more fun than when I rode in 2016. I mean, I rode in the back row, so I actually got some pretty good airtime. So yeah, I give a thumbs up for Woodstock Express. Probably the best kiddie coaster in my opinion. Coming at number 9 is going to be the Carolina Cyclone, which is just your aero custom looper. And while this coaster is at number 9, I don't think this is a bad coaster at all. I found it to be kind of fun. There was a little head banging. I remember my head being knocked around in 2016, and it still got knocked around a little when I rode it this year. But Carolina Cyclone a lot of people hate this ride, but I don't hate it. I think this is a fun ride. Now the coaster, like the layout's kind of standard. You have your double loop, your double corkscrew. But one thing I do like about the coaster is that it has a lot of good color scheme changes. So Carolina Cyclone, I approve of this ride, and it's also a classic, so can't go wrong with that. So coming in at number 8 is going to be the Flying Cobras, which is just your standard boomerang, so there's nothing really to talk about here. I will admit it's probably my favorite Vekoma boomerang that I've done, but it's really just kind of like, you know, just every ordinary boomerang. It does have the best restraints, but it's just kind of one of those ordinary boomerangs, you know. Nothing really to talk about here. Coming at number 7 is going to be Vortex, which if Peter from Theme Park Crazy is watching this, I'm sorry Peter, I like this ride. I don't get why he hates this thing. I rode this in 2016. I enjoyed it. I rode it in 2019. What I think? I enjoyed it. This coaster is pretty fun. Well, it's probably the weakest B&M in my opinion that I've done. I still think it's a fun ride. Like I thought it was a lot smoother than when I rode it in 2016. And I don't know, like you gotta know how to ride stand-up coaster, and you should be fine. I know a lot of people aren't fans of stand-up coasters, and while stand-up coasters aren't my favorite kind of coaster models, I think they're fun, and you just gotta know how to ride it, and you should be fine. Like I know how to ride a stand-up coaster, which is why I enjoyed rides like Apocalypse, Georgia Scorcher, and then this. But yeah, Vortex, not a bad ride in my opinion. By far the weakest B&M at Carowinds, but I still think it's a good ride. So coming at number 6 is going to be the Hurler, which is the wooden roller coaster. And this coaster was just as good as I remember being in 2016. It is a pretty fun ride. It wasn't too rough. Well, the coaster looks pretty painful. Like I'll admit, the coaster doesn't look that pleasant. The ride itself is actually pretty fun. You get some airtime. Well, the wind coasters that I've done that are operating, I will say it's probably the weakest wind coaster that I've done that's operating right now. But it's not to say that it's a bad coaster at all. This coaster is fun. I like this coaster. But it's just, you don't really get much airtime in this thing, which is why I don't rank it as high as some of the other wind coasters I've done. But it's not rough. It's kind of rough, but it's really not bad. It's much smoother than some of the other wind coasters I've done. And you can sure get a kick out of the Hurler. So, yeah, I'd say Hurler is a good ride. I'm glad it's still operating at the park. So now we're coming at number 5. And number 5, a lot of people are going to hate me for this. And this was probably one of the biggest surprises of my life. And this is a very unpopular opinion too. But coming at number 5 is going to be Nighthawk. Which, some of you may be watching this and you just be, like right now, having your mouth wide open. You just be like, Zach, how on earth do you rank Nighthawk at number 5? Let me tell you, when I first rode this in 2016, I was like, it's okay. Like, I didn't hate it when I rode 2016, but I didn't love it. Like, yeah, it is rough, but I rode it again this year, and I was pleasantly surprised. Like, this thing is pretty fun, actually. Like, it did not give me a headache when I rode it in 2016. And I got a kick out of some of the elements on the ride. Like, the vertical loop is really fun. I really like the turns. And I said before that the last 2 inversions are probably the worst inversions I've experienced on a ride. I take that back. Those inversions were actually pretty fun. And while it is rough, it's not the kind of roughness where it's like unbearable. So I'll give it that. And I love the setting on Nighthawk. Now, I still think Batwing at Six Flags America is better than Nighthawk, but Nighthawk I didn't think was a bad ride at all. This was probably one of the biggest surprises of my life. And I mean, one of my friends did tell me that they did add some of Firehawk's track to Nighthawk, so that might have helped, but I don't know, I surprisingly enjoyed Nighthawk this go around. I don't know what happened, but it was a lot more enjoyable than from what I rode in 2016. So Nighthawk, I'm sorry for giving you a little bit of hate. I know, I never hated Nighthawk, it's just, like, it wasn't one of my favorites when I went in 2016. So now that's over. So now coming at number 4 is going to be the new coaster at Carowinds. This is the Copperhead Strike, which, let me tell you, I was pretty blown away by Copperhead Strike. This coaster was much better than I expected it to be. Like, I was expecting it to be, kind of a fun ride, but let me tell you, that's what I thought about it when I first rode it. But I got to ride it more and more throughout the day, and it grew on me so much. And the airtime was just absolutely incredible. There were some good forces on it too, which is something I was not expecting at all. Launches were not the most forceful, I will give that. Like, the first launch I thought was pretty forceless. And the second launch, yeah, kind of forceless too. I know MacRide's launch coasters aren't known for being the most forceful, but in general, I thought it was amazing. It was very smooth, and I enjoyed the hang time that it had, especially during that first vertical loop, and that one weird element after the second launch. Those were some good hang time moments, and you definitely felt some good forces. And the one, like, dangle dive, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but that thing was pretty crazy, especially in the front. And the twists and turns were rapid fire, which is something that I really liked about Copperhead Strike. I'm excited to give this coaster a review pretty soon, and I'll go more in depth with this coaster. But Copperhead Strike overall is just an amazing ride. that I really loved. So now we're at the top 3, and coming at number 3 is a coaster that has dropped so many spots. This is Intimidator. Now, when I first rode Intimidator in 2016, I was pretty blown away by this coaster. That was when I was more GP, if you know what I mean. But I got to ride it again, and honestly, I was so disappointed with this coaster. It kind of got me mad with this coaster. I don't know what happened. It was just probably because when we rode it, the staff, you could not pull down the lap bar, and the staff pulled down the lap bar for you, and they made sure you get no airtime, which kind of defeated the purpose of this coaster. Now, I still think this is the king of floater air from all the coasters I've done. You get some amazing floater air on this thing, but I don't know, it's just each time I rode, the staff stapled us, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I usually would have. And the setting is not that great either. I mean, it's a parking lot coaster. What do you expect? So I can say now this is probably my least favorite B&M Hyper. Sorry, Intimidator. But, like, I don't know, it's just... I still love this coaster, but it's just... It wasn't as good as I remembered. So yeah, coming at number 2 is a coaster that just left me speechless. This is Afterburn, which when I rode it in 2016, I remember it being super intense and I absolutely loved it. But then I rode it again this year, and holy cow, I forgot how powerful this thing was. This thing was bonkers. Bonkers. I repeat, bonkers. This thing just never let up. It was so freaking intense. Literally, each inversion was just so whippy, powerful. It was a true powerhouse. Like, it's just terrifying how forceful this thing is. It's just incredible. And that last corkscrew, oh my gosh. Literally, there's a little headbang there, but, like, it's just ridiculously intense. It's like Kumba, but on an inverted coaster. It's just amazing. It's my second favorite invert at the moment, only to Montu at Busch Gardens Tampa. Yeah, Afterburn just left me with a big thumbs up. So now we're at the number 1 spot, and number 1 should not surprise anyone. This is Fury 325. This coaster is just so incredible. While it may no longer be my number 1, which Lightning Rod's not my number 1, that's not to say this is a bad ride by any means. I adore this coaster so much. It's so long, the drop feels like you're dropping forever. It's just, the airtime that it has is amazing. It's got some incredible speed. You literally feel like you're flying from start to finish. It's a true speed monster. And I love how you dive under the pedestrian bridge. Fury 325 overall is just one of my personal favorite roller coasters of all time. And currently right now my number 2, I mean, unless I-305 beats it, I don't know. That's for another day though. So that'll be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down below if you guys agree with me on this list. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos in the future. Also, don't forget to check out Theme Park High Productions on Instagram for more contents and updates, which will be in the description below. I'll see you guys next time. Have a theme-tacular day.